Programming is brought to you in part by Wendy's, featuring their Morning Melt Panini and their Wendy's Artisan Egg Sandwich. Now offering breakfast at 3 locations in Bowling Green: Fairview, Scottsville Road, and Russellville Road.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, guys, strong as an ox, fresh out the box. Another episode of Topper Talks coming at you.
You used that last week.
For the next 30 minutes. Let me finish. Let me finish.
All right, my bad.
It's a new saying. I'm going to use it for a little bit to the next one, okay?
All right. I usually, have something different every week.
I had thoughts, and then you just distracted me
I'm
on
sorry.
this opening.
Go ahead.
You totally
Continue.
ruined the opening.
My
Shane.
bad, man. Go ahead.
Anyway, I'm Sean Williams with...
Shane Bearden.
And we got a new guy in town.
Yeah.
You didn't transfer, right?
No, I did not.
Okay, you're still in school?
Like the rest of the WKU athletic department seems to be. I'm not transferring. I'm not going anywhere.
All right, Elliot Pratt joins us. You can catch him on Twitter at the Elliot Pratt.
That's right.
Properly named Twitter account there.
That's right.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Elliot.
Well, this is actually, I'm a junior here at WKU, but this is actually my first year. I transferred from a community college in Tennessee. So right now I transferred to up here to major in broadcast journalism. Right now I'm doing a lot of writing for the College Heights Herald here on campus, the student newspaper. I did a lot of volleyball coverage, covered a little bit of basketball, and now I'm ready to go full swing into football season headed up. So covering the Tops football team, Bobby Petrino era. Also do a lot with News Channel 12 and the Extra Point. So any kind of media in the sports here, I'm like to get really involved. Thanks for having me on tonight, by the way.
No problem, man.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming.
Like I said, our usual suspects, Woody White, he's out, missed his first show, so his streak comes to an end. And, of course, Adam Haley, he's taking score at volleyball
You're the only one
Little League
standing
games,
strong.
so, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
the streak
I expected
continues.
a full table, a full round of discussion tonight, but, we'll rock it with this.
Yeah, we'll rock it with this. Well, we appreciate you coming on, like
No
you said. And like I said, anytime we need some emergency assistance, we'll definitely ask you to come back on again.
All right.
So anyway, I mean, we kind of touched on a little bit in the intro. I mean, people transferring out seems to be happening a lot in the last week in Western Kentucky sports. I mean, talk about the basketball team. You got Kenny Anebo and Eddie Alcantara. They are going to transfer.
Yep. I mean, it's the Anigbo transfer is kind of to be expected with what happened with him a few weeks ago. I think we've gone over that at nauseum.
Well, by the way, he did plead guilty to those charges.
He did, and he just basically got community service and probation.
Yeah, but and the felony was dropped to a misdemeanor,
yep.
So that's good for him.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he ever really had anything on his record at all. Period.
Yeah, he did.
Before that, so he had never really been in trouble. So I think it's good for him that he kind of gets a second chance, so to speak. But it'll be a second chance somewhere else.
And a lot of things were looking up for him, too. If you may remember, he actually tried out maybe about 2 practices with the football team. He was going to get a look at defensive end with Bobby Petrino's defense. And after 2 practices, he was, pulled over for headlight issues or something with his car. And then, the police found evidence of marijuana on him. And, it's unfortunate for it to have happened to a kid like that. But the fact that he did plead guilty to it and that he admitted to a lot of it says a lot about his character. Yep. And it's disappointing, but you also have to, get your priorities and you have to see the way how things really should go around here. And, him announcing his transferring, it's probably the right move for him.
Yeah, and it seemed like, just according to the announcement, it seems like, Coach Harper set both of them down, had lengthy discussions with them multiple times, and just kind of realized that that's probably the best opportunity for both those guys to kind of continue their careers elsewhere. And of course, we say the Anebo situation is not too surprising, but a lot of people were shocked about the Alcantara transfer. So, I mean...
he came in last year as, a lot of people thought he was going to be, the big-time recruit from last year's class.
Mm-hmm.
And then this season, he only averaged about 5 minutes a game.
Only played in 11 games.
6 points. Yeah, only played in 11.
Yeah.
He did have his, big game against Louisville where he scored 11, where we were severely hampered by injuries that game. But it kind of comes as a little surprise, but at the same time, you kind of figured with all the signings we were having, roster space was going to be cleared somewhere, and, that ended up being where where it's coming from.
You talked about the injuries in that Louisville game. I think you can't focus on just that game. Let's talk about the injuries for that season.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true.
He fell under that kind of injury plague, and I think that was one of the biggest things for him. It's just kind of limited him to what we really could see out of Eddie. But again, I think it's one of those things where maybe his style of play, don't really know if there was any kind of issues off the court, so to say, maybe in the classroom. But again, he's one of those guys you really hope that he does well wherever he goes somewhere. Yep. He's going to do some school really well.
Yeah, and with Eddie, I think at the beginning of the season it was some neck issues with him, and then I think it was a knee toward the end of the season causing him to miss some games.
And we had a hamstring issue.
Yeah. So I mean, like you were saying, Elliot, I mean, just one of the many long list of string of injuries for the basketball team last year, and I think maybe those probably hampered him a little bit and not being able to kind of get in the flow of the offense and, not being able to have the season he wanted to have. So, but, these types of things happen. You see a lot of transfers now this time of year with, schools all throughout the nation. Whether it's playing time or, incidents and things like that, or kids want more playing time elsewhere. And so, it happens here, it happens everywhere else, and both Anibal and Alcantara, they joined Stephon Drain as transfers now. So, so what's the scholarship situation looking like?
We actually have one empty scholarship now.
Ooh, who's going to fill it?
Which will probably end up going after a point guard to help finish out the class. We signed several post players. So, now it's finish out the class with a guard. We're still waiting on the eligibility academically of Frederick Edmonds. So we'll see how that comes out as well.
Man.
Yep. but rumor is, I mean, if he gets a scholarship this year, that'll take that away. But, word is that right now he probably won't be on scholarship this year. So he'll be here working on his academics this year and paying his own way, and then maybe next year, get a scholarship.
Which always brings up the mighty question, which I've raised before, is if that did happen with him and he did come here, would it be a situation where he might go to a junior college and play for a year and not sit out for a year?
It could be.
Almost kind of be like the Michael Bradley situation, except a little bit different as far as the fact that he comes here and he's not ruled academically eligible, and then he decides to go somewhere else just to play some ball.
For him, I don't think it's the same as the Bradley situation, because Bradley had been injured the whole year before, didn't play a game, then came here, wasn't going to be able to play again, so he didn't want to have to sit out for 2 years. Whereas with Edmond, he played last year for prep school, coming out of high school, and he still has full eligibility left. He can sit out for a year and be good to go.
Yeah, but you see, I'm just.
That's a personal decision too. If he doesn't want to have to sit out.
Yeah,
he can go the JUCO route.
A lot of kids, they come into a situation like this, and then, they come here expecting to play, and then all of a sudden the NCAA says, hey, you got to sit out a year for academic issues, and then just like a lot of kids, might not want to do that. And
I know he expects to play.
So, yeah, he expects to play too, and he said that, kind of mentioned that on his Twitter account and things like that. So, that's a situation to kind of look out for as well. So, got any thoughts on this, Elliot?
I think that is one of the issues that's going on with transfers and kids. They want to go to a bigger school. You got a school like Western Kentucky, who's known for basketball, and every other school in the state really that's known for basketball. But some of these kids, they just don't. They go into it thinking that they are going to get a lot of playing time, but a lot of them don't realize that there's other kids there's always a bigger fish, is what they say, and there's always going to be that other guy that's got more talent than you, who's got a better skill set, so to say, and I think that's one of the issues that we're dealing with now, and all of these kids that are just having to transfer to smaller schools.
Yeah. But the good news, Western Kentucky did add to the roster this week with the addition of Brandon Price.
Preferred walk-on.
Not
related to TJ.
not related to TJ.
No relation.
Played at John Hardin High School in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Did a great job. Averaged about 18 points a game, 2.5 rebounds. Not sure what his assist per game was. But, you look at his highlight video, and he seems like kind of like a Percy Blade type. Can definitely come in a situation where they need him, and be definitely a good key role player too. Led John Hardin to the quarterfinals in the Sweet 16. So I think that's a good walk-on ad for Western Kentucky. Like I said, the injury bug bit them a lot last season, and they definitely needed Percy Blade. A preferred walk-on. And definitely, he even started some games too and logged in some quality minutes. So. It's good to get a guy like that as a preferred walk-on that's really productive at the high school level, and kind of showed some leadership too. He was their point guard, so he led them to the quarterfinals of the Sweet 16, had a 29-4 record. So, It's like he's got good leadership qualities about him. So
When you talk about the walk-ons, you can't forget about the other guys that have transferred, like the Butler transfer, Chris Harrison Dodds and Trinzy Jackson. They also got 2 other new transfers. I hear it's a tradition on this show to let Shane over here get the pronunciations
talk
right
about those
over here.
two power forward transfers, Shane.
Well, I'll talk about Samaro, but since you did the write-up on the other one, I'll let you try to pronounce that name.
Okay, go ahead, Shane.
Well, we got Dowda Samaro, which we talked about last week.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's a big power forward. Comes from the same high school as Tenga Call, actually. Then went to Iowa Western Community College.
Should we be worried about that?
I don't think so. I mean, he's he's much more athletic from everything I've heard. Runs the floor real well. That shouldn't, and he doesn't camp out at the 3-point line all the time. Although he can stretch the floor. But
just not that far.
just not doesn't stay out there all the time.
Not at the 35
He likes
foot
to
line.
get up and dunk a little bit too. So
That's
Yeah,
always
he
good.
committed to Texas Tech as well. Like Tenga Cole played at another Big 12 school in Oklahoma State, where Tenga Cole actually played. I think they say this Samaro guy never even set foot on Texas Tech's campus before that.
Yeah. So and then of course the other power forward is Aaron Adeo. I hope I'm saying that right.
We'll go
We'll
with
go
that,
with
yeah.
that. That sounds right.
We'll go with that. But yeah, he actually committed to Ball State and played for a year and was actually named to the All-MAC freshman team before he transferred to John A. Logan College, which is right there in Illinois, and did really good. Averaged about 15 points a game, about 8 boards a game. Talked to one of his assistant coaches, said, he's the real deal. Anytime they needed a bucket or a rebound in a clutch situation, he was there and provided that for them. And really smart kid, too, wanting to be he's a finance major, so he said academics are really important to him. And, he was, among the colleges he was looking at, among Western was Indiana State. Was the other one. So, I mean, he said he did his research on the colleges, and Murray State was the other college, too. He visited all those 3 schools and did a lot of research on everyone. But he said the relationship, with the coaches here at Western, Coach Harper and Coach Borden, went a long way in making him.
That seems to be
here.
a theme with all the players we're bringing in. Is they always talk about the relationship and the loyalty that they got from the Western coaches. That kind of separated them from other schools as far as during the recruiting process. So I think that's one real good thing that we have going for us is we have a real good coaching staff in place that gets along real well with the kids, and I think that helps foster a good team environment.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that gave Ray Harper that assumed head coaching job whenever he took over 2 years ago over McDonald was his ability to connect with the players and that, and he's one of the better coaches around that can do that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster now. I mean, what do you think? Just kind of looking at the crystal ball next year. I mean, what do you think the Western looks like in basketball next year? You think it's going to be barring the injury bug that we had last year? I mean, we got new cogs. 2 power forwards transferring in. Really good depth inside. I mean, look really athletic. I mean, what do you think the roster's going to look like as far as starting lineups look like next year?
As far as starting lineup?
Yeah, let's go starting lineups.
Oh, man.
Mixing it up,
It's
man.
changed so
this
much
is
last
early.
year.
Come on,
You
let's
can't
go.
really-
Let's
can't really
do it.
predict that one.
Starting lineups right now. I want them.
All right,
Shane,
we'll go with
Oh no.
man. We're gonna go with
Who's starting point guard?
Brandon Harris.
Yes,
TJ Price at 2 guard.
Gotcha.
Nigel Snipes at 3. George
Okay.
Fant and Rostov. We'll do that as the starting lineup to start the year.
I think you can look for Rostov to have just a huge year next year.
I think so too.
And I think it's
he'll
going to
come
be
a long
interesting
way.
to finally see Nigel Snipes get back in with that team that he played in, and just the unfortunate ACL tear had him out all year. I think it's going to be quite exciting to see those guys back.
Yeah.
And Nigel has a lot of upside to be a really good player. He's very, very athletic, and he can shoot too and get up and down the court. I think that's going to be a big help. Having him back on the roster this year.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of said that before. I mean, Nigel Snipes was looking to be a starter next year. I
Yep.
mean, it looked like he was going to be in the starting
Well,
lineup. so-
Ray had pretty much already said that Nigel was going to be a starter, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And, it cut his season, but and with all the injury bugs we had last year,
Just
I
kind
mean,
of fell from there.
you know,
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
It started with Nigel.
that was
and
the
just
start.
kept going-
That was the start of the
kept going
injury
downhill.
plague season. But
Yeah.
it just kind of shows what kind of coach Ray Harper is to kind of mash this team together with duct tape and super glue in the middle of the season whenever they needed it,
And still make the
and
NCAA.
survive, and
That's
you know,
right.
then just kind of come together and get as healthy as they could be at the right time at the end of the season, and kind of charge them to another NCAA tournament appearance. So I mean, that was really really impressive. I think a lot of you see a lot of kids that we're out there recruiting. They kind of see that in Ray Harper. What kind of coach he is, and coaching in situations like that.
And as long as we don't get bit by the injury bug, I'm going to call it right now. We won't have a 16 seed next year. I can tell you that much.
All right.
But
we can write it down.
we'll say a 12 seed or better for next
12
year.
seed or better.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that down.
Go ahead,
man.
write it
You
down.
got it.
Write them down.
Writing it down. 12 seed or better.
He said it right here, folks.
All right.
I said it first.
Or better.
And you're really writing that? You're going to save that?
Prediction.
You're going to save that
I'm
note?
gonna frame it, dude.
All right.
Frame it.
All right, got you, man.
All right.
I'm gonna have you sign it after the show.
Okay. I'll put my initials by it. Put it up on the wall.
So continuing with the transfer theme, we move on to football, and we
Yeah.
had a big transfer announcement
Shocked today.
Big today.
James Morrow, very classy, wrote a letter to Western Kentucky Nation
Yeah.
and all the Hilltopper fans, saying he wouldn't be back next year. He's going to look for other options, but did a great job in the letter, thanking the fans and thanking Coach Taggart and everybody for an opportunity to play here at WKU. So definitely a big shock to a lot of people out there. Of course,
A lot of people thought, he might get the starting gig with just how he came in last year in the
Yeah.
Arkansas State game. They thought that he may be the future quarterback going forward, especially in the Petrino offense. But he just didn't have the spring that I guess he needed to have, and he wasn't going to be up there.
And you said it right there. It's the Petrino offense. James Morrow, he was a great quarterback in a Willie Taggart offense
Yeah.
in
Yep.
that pro style. And you saw it, in that Arkansas State game when KY went out and they were down 13-0. Morrow comes back, throws, over 100. I think he went 8 for 12, 100-something yards, and a touchdown in the third to take the lead, and it came back and won 26-13. And whenever you saw that, you kind of knew the quarterback situation was going to be pretty stout.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everybody thought that James Morrow was going to be the SM starter, but again, it's just not every quarterback can play in every system.
See, and everybody talked about Morrow, but a lot of people forgot that Dowdy actually replaced Jakes at one point,
Yeah.
and then he got hurt. And Dowdy, he's got a cannon of an arm on him as well. He was a 3-star quarterback out of high school,
Yeah.
and he's so far in the spring, he showed that right now the starting position is his to lose as long as he keeps performing at the level he's at.
You saw that in the spring game, and of course they played the starters versus the second
Yeah.
strings and the third strings. But even then, and even not even just the spring game, but all throughout spring practice, you could tell that Brandon Dowdy just picked it up better.
Mm-hmm.
And you got DeMarcus Smith, who's learning. He's a little rusty after transferring
Yeah.
from Central Florida.
But the talent is there.
The talent is definitely there. The potential's there. He's just got to shake the rust off. But Morrow, you could just tell in spring practices the throws weren't necessarily on top. Maybe he didn't even take some of the coaching that well. Some quarterbacks are more coachable than others from other coaches, and it just seemed like Morrow, it just wasn't a good fit anymore from the offense. And like you said, he's class act. The way he announced it today, he just went on Twitter this afternoon to just say, "Hey, Hilltopper Nation." He did it with as much respect to this university and the athletic department as he could. Really hope that he does well somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's two entirely different systems. You get the Petrino style system, and it's a lot. And they put, Petrino says it in the post-game press conference. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks.
Mhm.
And,
what?
there's,
And I
there's
think-
some long balls in that, and Morrow really struggled with
Yeah.
the accuracy on the long ball and spring ball as well.
And I mean, it's like you were saying, Elliot. I think Dowdy, he had this shot to be a starter and got hurt. I think he had that chip on his shoulder. Had a chance to prove himself after Jakes graduated, and he came in here and did all the extra work and everything he had to do to learn the playbook. And I mean, you could tell he was the most comfortable quarterback out there running the offense, and that's why he was running with the first team right now. So.
Dowdy said he had his girlfriend helping him
Yeah.
study
he
the
did.
playbook.
Yeah.
Got to get that extra help in, right?
That old Billy Madison test review.
That's right. But don't forget, they've got 2 quarterbacks coming in next year that are going to be eligible. You got Nelson Fishback from, I think it's Butte Community
Butte.
Community College
who
out in California.
Butte produced the Rogers brothers.
Yep.
They did. That's
Yep.
right.
A lot of
Rogers
people,
Brothers.
are thinking that he could come in and challenge for that starting job right
Yeah.
away as well.
You see some of his highlights. He definitely can, his style in a Petrino offense is definitely the right fit here.
Yeah, he's got a good arm, and he's kind of one of those mobile quarterbacks,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, I kind of talked to him on the phone whenever he committed, and you know, he's kind of a pass first guy, but he's got the wheels and the mobility to get out of a pocket if it breaks down and things like that. So I mean, it's good to have a quarterback like that they can throw the ball deep, you know, and mid-range passes and be mobile. And I mean, we got another kid that's coming in just like that, the freshman Todd Porter.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah, exactly like you say. He's just like it, very mobile. His stats through the air are just ridiculous.
Yep.
Like just last year at his O'Fallon High School out in Illinois.
yeah, out in the St. Louis area. I mean, he did a really good job. And you know what? You know, he's kind of like the same type of quarterback like Fishback is. I mean, you know, kind of throw first, but he's mobile enough to get out of the pocket and do some danger on the ground too. I think Porter rushed for about 500 yards or so on the ground. You know, but he rushes when he needs to. You know, he's kind of a throw first type of guy, and I think that's kind of the type of quarterback Petrino's looking for.
Absolutely.
So I know Dowdy's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. Neither was Morrow. But I mean, you know, you look at DeMarcus Smith. Of course, you're saying, you know, he's still got a lot of rust. I mean, he does. I mean, he's got.
And you would see
footwork
flashes. You would
issues.
see flashes of that potential in during spring practice and such. He would make that throw that you were like, yeah, that's why he's here. That's why he was rated as high as he was coming out of high school.
And then he would throw 60 yards going out of bounds off his back foot.
Yeah.
Interception
Yeah,
to
you got
Cam
two
Thomas.
defensive backs just waiting on the ball down there.
Yeah, and it wasn't really that too. I mean, a lot of his like mid-range passes and short passes, he was kind of inaccurate and threw low balls and threw behind receivers and things like that. So I mean, a lot of stuff he's got to clean up, and I'm sure Jeff Brom and Bobby Petrino will help him out in that category.
He probably right now I would say actually he has the best arm strength on the team for the moment. I mean, he can put it 50 yards down the field on a rope.
But it's like I said before on the show, throw it to the receiver, not the defensive back.
Exactly.
Right.
You're right.
It's very important.
But the arm strength is also important. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's obvious that that's there. He just, you know, he's got to get better on his accuracy, and just that's still a rest issue though.
Yeah.
You know, he'll get back to where he was.
So, I mean, you know, we talk about Morrow leaving. I mean, you know, we see the quarterback depth chart now as it looks. You know, we got Dowdy Smith, Fishback, Porter's coming in. I mean, it could be another hotly contested quarterback battle. I mean, you got Fishback, junior
Next year,
college
at
kid.
least.
Yeah. Fishback, junior college kid. I mean, he can come in here and make some noise. I mean, I know he's already got the playbook out there in California, and he's already studying it. And, you know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if, you know, Fishback or Porter can come in here and kind of make some noise for the number one spot from Dowdy. But I know Dowdy's going to be doing his thing. Like I said, he's got that chip on his shoulder, and he's been here a while. And, you know, like I said, I think he wants to have his moment in the sun. You know, he had it for a brief moment, and then he got injured. And I think he kind of has the motivation to have that back. So
Yeah, I think he's going to be putting in the work on the playbook and stuff over the summer as well, hitting the weight room, which I don't know if anybody saw pictures of the new weight room, but Petrino busted out something
some
from his
bell.
Arkansas
Yeah,
days
bell.
for the bell,
Yeah.
which
Ring the
basically,
bell.
ring the bell when you have your best day in the weight room.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was after a 500-pound squat or something.
Well, I mean, that could
be
your
somebody's
best
best
day in the weight room.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Never know. But speaking of football, I saw something that's kind of funny that was actually tweeted out by Brad Stevens. Was a video of, I think CBS Sports did a video of Joe Madej whenever he was at Marshall, that he would pregame ritual was
I saw that.
Yeah,
With
they
a
would
slap
come out
day.
on the field and he would hold his arms out and somebody would like break a wooden looks like a 2x4 or something
Yeah,
over
And
his
on
back.
fire.
Yeah, it was on fire too. I mean,
I
is that gonna
didn't see the fire.
is that going to be a
Didn't
new
see the
tradition
firefight.
at Western? A new pregame tradition?
Maybe it's better
before-
than a sledgehammer.
I was really thinking whenever I saw that, I was like, you know, it'd be cool if like just Madej could just come up from the 50-yard line like a concert and just be like shirtless and be like, hey, with his arms out like that. And be
Hey, with
flexing.
artificial turf, I don't put it past him.
Then just somebody like Big Red come up behind him with some flaming piece of wood and just hit him in the back and break it in
Yeah.
two. The hot tops come running out, play the fight song. New pregame tradition, man. I like it.
I doubt it.
What do you think?
I doubt it.
What do you think?
I don't think.
Come
it's
on,
gonna
man.
happen.
Yeah, I
I
don't know if it's
think.
gonna
I
happen.
think we're going to be more traditional. I'm
Okay.
not ready for that to happen.
That was my
Until you get in the athletic department, Sean, and start planning these events, you know,
I'm gonna talk
we're
to
just going to be behind the times.
I'm gonna talk to marketing about that.
All right.
I'm gonna let them know.
You do that.
I think it'd be a hype pregame tradition. Have that happen.
A hot pregame tradition.
A hype. I said hype, not
Oh,
hot.
okay.
Well, hot
Yeah.
would work too. You know,
It would be
Talking
hot.
about flaming wood over there.
Flaming wood. So, you know, Elliot, you know, of course, you were at spring practice a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think about Petrino, the new offense, and everything like that?
You know, it took the team a while to get used to him, because you could just tell Taggart was a really laid-back type of offense, and Petrino's all business. I mean, they even have a running clock up there that just gives you in like 2-minute quarters, I believe is the way it was divided up, and they would practice for 2.5 hours accordingly. You know, they never took a break during practice. They were one drill to the next, boom, boom, boom. Well, once they finally caught on to it, I think you could just see that these players, and you could tell that there's some players that are going to make it, and there's some that aren't.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as those who aren't, you know, I think it's still very cloudy. You know, who we could possibly still see with the team by the time August and September rolls around. But I think this team is really adapted to it, and I think that Petrino understands that he doesn't have the SEC talent or the talent that he's always had.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to use the system. He's able to use these players that he has to still fit his system.
Yeah, and I think it's something we'll kind of see. I mean, we talk about moral transferring, but it's something I think we'll see some more players maybe do the same. You know,
I think you could argue that Western has talent in certain areas that are SEC caliber, but across the board, you're right, we don't have the same.
Like, let's
you
look
know,
at that
well,
defense.
look at the
Yeah.
depth issue. That's probably the biggest where we fall off. I honestly, like, just after, I mean, I know our spring game, you know, it was our starters versus our second string, but you know, I honestly think our starters could play with most anybody in the country.
A lot of them could, yeah.
But you know, once you get past the starters and maybe a couple people on the second string, you know, it kind of starts to fall off a little bit. You know, they can work their way up. You know, there's a lot of young players still on the team, but
Yeah.
you know, as of right now, I think depth is probably going to be our biggest issue going forward.
Yeah, you got a lot of young guys there on the defensive line in particular. You lost all 4 of your guys. Especially you guys got like Quanter Smith, who, you know, congratulations to him, go to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
But yeah, the defensive line is going to be really young, but they're learning a lot, and I think that they're going to be fine.
Yeah. So, Elliot, you like these chairs, like this table?
These chairs are actually pretty comfortable. It's got a nice little
You like-
swivel here.
Yeah, nice swivel.
You know,
like
yeah.
tables, pretty spacious.
Table's pretty sturdy.
Yeah. Well, they're provided by the Jasper Group,
Yeah.
so we appreciate those guys for hooking us up with the table and chairs for the show. Always like it. The guests love them.
Yep.
So they want to take them home, but we say no. We got to have them for the set.
can't take it home.
Yeah, we got to keep them here.
Oh man, we gotta keep them here, man. Sorry.
Well, that's not what they told me when I came on today.
It cost you $500 a chair.
Well, we'll
So
talk later.
Okay. All right. I'll make you sign the contract too.
Give a quick shout out to the WKU softball team.
Yeah, since we got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes left. So give them a shout out. They won the Sun Belt Conference regular season title for
First
the first
one
time.
ever.
First time in school history, yeah.
You know, they had a great season.
Finished with a 38-14 record,
Yep.
20-3 in the Sun Belt
That's right.
Conference. That's pretty good.
They, you know, Elliot said he passed them loading the buses up for Troy
Right,
conference
way up here,
tournament
they
on
were
his,
loading up.
on his way here tonight. So they're ready to go down there, take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
They got ULM, I think, starting Wednesday at 12:30.
Wednesday.
They've got the number 1 seed there in the tournament. Louisiana Monroe down there at the number 8. I think they're going to go down there and handle business. I don't think they're going to have any trouble.
Yeah.
I think the only team that might provide a little trouble is Lafayette. And
Yeah.
just because they're always a tough out, they're always a tough team. But
Speaking of Louisiana Monroe, was 3-20 in the Sun Belt Conference in
Yep.
the year, and
We have to watch South Alabama too. 41-7 on the year, holding that number 2 seed down. I do believe, but you know, just watch for them to run into them possibly.
yeah.
And also shout out to Ryan Huck for winning his second Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week for baseball, as the baseball toppers took the weekend series over Louisiana Monroe.
Just knocking the cover off the ball, went 5 for 5 yesterday with
That's
3
right.
RBIs. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty productive day.
I think it was the first time he's had 5 hits in
Yeah.
one game.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty,
congrats to him.
That's pretty impressive for somebody to get 5 hits in a game, college, you know, or little league or major league.
Anytime.
Maybe not in T-ball.
Well, maybe not in T-ball, but yeah.
You got Katrina Matoyer again going back to softball. Also won that second Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week award. You know,
Yeah.
congrats to her. I think like 5 hits, 4 runs, several RBIs, a home run. She's just doing it all out there on the field.
Yeah, so the baseball season, softball season's winding down. So, you know,
All right.
you guys got any shout-outs before we get out of here?
No.
30 seconds,
We're
30
off
seconds?
next week. So tune back in 2 weeks from now for a brand new episode of Topper Talk.
Elliot,
Thanks for
appreciate
having me
you
on, guys.
man.
Go Tops.
Programming is brought